I woke up today thinking about the crimes that have been committed in the world today, all in the name of hate. And I wonder, what happened to love? What happened to, looking for the good in others? What happened to the fact that we need to respect views that are different from ours? What happened to forgiveness? Well, the truth is, we all need each other to grow in this world. Welcome to the studios of Weekend Deal, Africa's biggest deal. It's always a pleasure to have you join us on the show. Yesterday, we started a conversation about leadership in Nigeria and followership, and of course, the qualities we need to look out for in leadership recruitment. Of course, today, we are going to continue with that thematic trust. And of course, Thelma is here with me.
Oh, well, thank you, Sule. Yes, totally. We're in agreement about what we're talking about. We began the journey yesterday, and it's a continuous process, because as long as we're Nigerians and we operate a democratic style of governance, we always have leaders, and there will always be the requisite need for followers. We are the followers, and we are given the responsibility through our permanent voters card to come out every 4 years to elect our leaders. Perhaps that's why Theodore Roosevelt says that people often ask, what's the difference between a leader and a boss? And he goes on to say that a leader leads and the boss drives. In the course of our packages today, we'll unveil different features that will further drive home the difference between a leader and a boss, and perhaps remind us of our responsibility as followers. My name is Thelma Obaze. A warm welcome.
And my name is Suleiman Babajiao Usman. Thank you for staying with us. Yes, it is a known fact that participation is very, very important when we talk about democracy wherever it is being practiced. Yes, we have had a very long history of democracy in Nigeria, but this first feature will actually set the tone for our conversation on the show today, and it's all about political antecedents.
Politicians travel through communities, cities, states, and indeed an entire nation to sensitize and persuade the electorate in a particular direction in their favor, so that their votes count for them. This is the permanent voters card, popularly called the PVC. When it's time for elections, patriots, Nigerians, who are eligible to vote and who own a PVC troop out to vote for candidates of their choice. When that happens, two decisive steps are taken. Some candidates are re-elected, some are elected, and some are de-elected. Such is the power of democracy and the electorate. The democratic process has thrust power firmly in the hands of the electorate, such that they are often urged to use it wisely. In recent times, there have been emerging crop of enthusiastic aspirants and candidates. But despite their interesting and exciting promises and enticing manifestos, many did not survive the voting process.
What we need to do is constant advocacy on the need and the value of intergenerational dialogue as well as political transition. I cannot fathom how people who will not be there in the next 10-15 years will be crafting and designing a plan without involving other people or without looking at the future. We need to organize. And for the people who have determined to perpetuate themselves in office, to dislodge them would require organizing. And we have to build a very strong united force. First, there has to be consensus in our values, in our interests, and then in our resources.
Leadership in itself comes with great responsibility, for which some may not be prepared. And as a result, though they may succeed once, a second attempt throws up insurmountable roadblocks. Is there a unique method that works ceaselessly when one prepares for winning at elections?
And there are several reasons why people win elections. First, it could be the political context at which they are running, whether issues like zoning factor and representation is an issue depending on a particular locality. It could be about power sharing between the community. It could be around the capacity of the individual to lead or represent the people. If the person is very, very popular amongst his people because of the track record of development that the person has advanced within that particular community. It could be by just natural factors. I think for an ideal democracy, which we hope to actually build, let it be that people win elections on the strength of their capacity and their popularity and the voters' understanding of the manifesto of political parties as well as the value of their vote at elections.
Success at the poll demands quite a bit from the elected. Many have had the uncommon opportunity to be chosen to represent their constituencies several times, such that they have become a reference point. How does it work? What qualities endear them to the electorate?
The people are not ready to vote for those that don't even really know the stand of the country. You know, when it's just like having a 60-year-old and a 2-year-old. Based on experience, you said the 2-year-old does not have anything to offer, so you rather go for the 60-year-old.
Let it be compulsory that in every polling unit, if the card readers don't scan and accept your cards, you will not vote. If we want to grow, there's opportunity for us to do better and improve on what we have already.
Now more than ever before, new faces and parties emerge in a democratic environment. Is there a level playing field? Nigeria boasts 20 uninterrupted years of democratic governance, and of that, its citizenry is very proud. As we move forward, many agree that although we have not done badly, further improvement will spearhead growth and development.
I think we all can agree that there's need for improvement in our political process. And Thelma, if there's something we learned during this election period, is the fact that people still vote for parties, but that idea is gradually changing because people are not looking out for the candidates that will best represent their interests whenever they find themselves in that political office.
That has become quite evident. I think we saw that very clearly displayed, especially this year.
Yeah.
We saw some states come out en masse to vote for one party at the presidential level, yeah, and do the exact opposite when it came to electing state governors and members of state houses of assembly. So it tells us that people are thinking, yeah, they know what they want, and they know how to achieve what they want at the end of the day.
And one thing also critical, Thelma, is the fact that when you present yourself to be, elected, it's not enough to just say, oh, you have a lot of followers on Facebook, the Twitter. There's more. You need to do more. You need to connect with the people. What is your relationship with the grassroots? There's a whole lot to be done.
And that's where the antecedent comes in. Who were you before you came out to say you want to go vie for the highest office in the land? What have you done for your people besides speak Queen's English? How have you impacted those in your village, in your community? What does your state know about you? You're not even living in that state. So who's going to come out and say, you know me and you will do well by me and my family? So I think this has taught many of us several lessons, and we can begin to plan for the next 4 years. And that's how we're moving to Makadi, where they're still talking about leadership. And if they already know what we know here in the FCT, is that the power to elect leaders actually lies in the hands of the people. Let's see this.
Defining the characteristics of leadership has often been a matter of strong debate by many theorists across the ages. Nevertheless, there seems to be an overriding agreement that leadership traits more often than not border on inborn characteristical traits or practical skill learned. The essence of good leadership, however, cannot be overemphasized, as it is that which propel or guide other individuals or teams towards the accomplishment of a goal. Leadership must therefore hinge on the functionality traits of intelligence, courage, vision, power, trustworthiness, and discipline, to mention but a few.
We have lost touch with truth. If you really stay on truth, you may not be liked initially, but eventually you are going to be accepted as a person who is truthful.
Discipline in Nigeria ended somewhere in the early 80s. Since then, impunity has taken over the place. Leaders want to behave the way they chose, and the followers, they are learning faster than even the leaders. So I expect that maybe in another 10 years to come, those who started this leadership impunity, if they are still alive, I'm sure they will regret what they have brought upon us in this country.
These traits propel the growth and development of many civilized society of the world. Sadly, however, the reverse seems to be the case in this part of the divide, and arguably, this has been the bane of seeming lack of growth and development in many third world countries of the world, Nigeria inclusive.
The disciplined people to run economy. We need the disciplined people to run the school. We need the disciplined people to run our political atmosphere. So once you are not disciplined, of course, bad things happen. And once the bad things start happening, it affects our economy.
Reflecting on indisciplined vices such as indiscriminate dumping of refuse into drains, unauthorized parking lots, jumping off queues, vote buying and snatching of ballot boxes during elections, street trading, amongst many other unsavory social behaviors and etiquettes, leaves a sour taste in the mouth, and everyone seems to be caught up in it, both the leaders and the led. But why are we like this? Where and how did we get it wrong? Is this a reflection of the functionality or otherwise of leadership and followership?
If you are well brought up, you follow, orderliness. But in a situation where you lack certain moral values, you see yourself like you want to be forceful. Wherever you go, you feel this power it takes to achieve whatever you want. And it's really not, the right thing to do, because looking at our background, where we are coming from, we have values as a people.
If you have a good upbringing, there are some things that when they give you instruction, you have to follow it. If you know you can't follow the instruction, don't go that way. You just stay on your own. But if you want to follow instruction, they say stay on the queue, you stay on the queue. There's no reason why you shouldn't stay on the queue. If you know you can't stay on the queue, it's better you don't come in to buy anything.
An instruction that is given to me by my superior that I know that he himself will not respect such a thing. So if he's going to respect it, then it is duty bound for me to respect it. There's no magic, there's no two way about it. The man giving the instruction is not even disciplined by the instruction that he is given. And so the man who is going to obey the instruction is not equally not disciplined. So we have a confused people everywhere in the country.
The consequences are no doubt grave for our society, which truly desire national growth and development. So, what should be the way out of this malice?
Example, leadership by example is what we need.
We are all responsible for whatever challenges we have, and we must come together collectively to set things right. Outside that, nothing.
Nigeria is great and will be greater in future.
No doubt, there is a need for a reorientation and rethinking by us all to be true leaders in our own little right, so as to propel our society to the desired heights as it obtains in other parts of the civilized world.
Okay, that report actually came from Asaba, and then still talking about leadership. But right now, let's take you to the one earlier announced. Makodi.
Everyone wants to be the head or the leader in one way or the other. However, what distinguishes one person from another is their response to different situations in life. Those who are able to control these situations or able to respond positively are known to stand out and take charge, thereby making decisions for others in the process, while followers look up to them for guidance. For this cause, what could be said to be the qualities of good leadership in Nigeria?
One of the virtues or qualities of leadership, number one, is the fear of God. Is the fear of God. Number two, dedication. Number three, faithfulness or righteousness. Number four, commitment. Number five, service to humanity. When you have all of this among others, then you can truly represent people.
In every society, there's always a process where leaders emerge to lead the people. And in the olden days, during the monarchy or kingship, it was a situation where it was hereditary. But with the advent of democracy, leadership is recruited through elections. But in considering people for election, it is always important to also look at their individuals, look at their past records, look at their antecedents.
Leadership is all about it. No personal interest. To be a leader, you must even be ready to sacrifice.
Leadership is about showing good examples for others to follow. But different people are known to have different modes of behavioral attitudes. Some conform to laid down rules and regulations in the society while others do not. What are the likely forces behind these negative attitudes? Are they hereditary or simply copied by others?
The causes of it is because of greediness. People are greedy. Instead of trying to give whatever belongs to this, you give to, they amass all of them. And the reason for this greediness, especially this end time now, is because of the bad economy.
Greediness, lack of fear of God, tribalism, and in fact, self-sufficient right from the top down to the bottom.
Despite all that is happening, we still have hope. God loves this country. God has given us a lot of resources. What we need is we need leaders that will be there to pursue the common good of the people. And we need the people also to realize that they have the power to determine who their leaders are, no matter amount of money that is paid to them. So that by the time collectively we are working, and then with God at our side, I think in the very near future, things will change for the better in this state and in this country called Nigeria.
What are the consequences of these menace in our national development?
If somebody is a leader and you carry Nigerian money, go to overseas and give, you are stopping development. You are already carrying away the money that would have been used for infrastructure, the money that could have used to build the industry, the money that could have used to do certain things that will employ Nigerians. You are carrying them away. So the after effect of corruption or keeping money outside the country is a colossal loss.
We have infrastructural deficit in this country, in this state. We don't have good roads. We don't have functional facilities in our hospitals, our schools, particularly public schools. And I saw when you go there, you don't see facilities. And then the ones that were built then are also getting bad. We are not getting new ones. So we are not moving anywhere.
It is envisioned that if both leaders and followers can adhere to laid down rules and regulations and change their attitudes, Nigeria will be a better place to live.
Yes, indeed. If we do the right thing at the right time, there's little doubt that Nigeria can be great again. We saw some of our features yesterday, like the one we saw from Wale Hamzat, who went down memory lane over 30 years into our journey and showed us the likes of Nnamdi Azikiwe, Awolowo, Tafawa Balewa, and we saw what they said. We heard what they said. We saw them talking. We saw their disposition. We saw unity of purpose, all for the growth and development of our country. I think if we can begin to think in that direction, greatness beckons.
You know, I always said this, the rain began to beat us the very moment we started thinking about ourselves alone. We got selfish at some point. All we want to do is to, you know, do whatever we do for Nigeria, we're doing it for ourselves. But it's more about the individual and their families and their friends. Yeah. Nobody thinks about what will bring Nigeria together, what will develop Nigeria, what will make Nigeria grow. And if we don't have that attitude, that mentality, that ideology circulating in our thoughts, we are seriously going to encounter challenges.
And we're encountering some challenges now, but it is our hope and our prayer that as the mindset of the voters is changing, they're already speaking with their PVCs, and I'm sure they'll speak further. If you don't do what is right at the right time and show that you care for Nigeria, and by association is citizenry, you feel the bite. So Nigeria first. As we move to Benin, still talking leadership, let's see what they are putting together from them.
Leadership is a broad term that could be interpreted in various ways. One great definition, however, is that leadership is the art of leading others to deliberately create a result that wouldn't have happened otherwise. Since independence in October 1, 1960, Nigeria, no doubt, has had a share of great leaders and nationalism. In spite of this, however, leadership recruitment drive in Nigeria is still fraught with a culture of indiscipline and impunity from both the leadership and the followership. These acts of impunity, no doubt, have impeded our quest for development and national cohesion. Why is this so?
The rules are there in every organization, in every university, in every educational institution. When the rules are lax, when the rules are not implemented fully, or when the issues of nepotism, favoritism have crept into the implementation of such rules, students will begin to misbehave, and even lecturers alike.
Values have been imputed upon. Why? The leaders have decided not to follow the regulated patterns. When you follow it and there is no deviousness from that, society will progress.
People are full of misbehavior and indiscipline. It's because no one has been charged to court to be used as a scapegoat and as a deterrent to others.
It's so obvious. It's the crave for material acquisition. Even little children these days, they don't want to work hard or do anything. They look at the leaders. The leaders are, you can see corruption is everywhere, and nobody is being punished for that. And children are watching.
Ballot box snatching. Why would you snatch ballot box? For instance, and you are sure you are not going to be sanctioned because you feel that there's somebody who can cut the short right on top, which is a leader. The moment you compromise as a leader, the essence and the values, that is the sanctity of the values of the social contract, then of course the followership will no longer have, you know, what I call faith in quotes in you, in that particular leader.
What then do we look out for in leaders?
I believe that what the followership should look for in a leader is, one, don't stand partisan. Look at the individual, the character, the integrity, the truthness, the trust. A man that keeps his words. Can you evaluate that individual in terms of his capacity and his ability to deliver?
Good leadership in Nigeria should evolve from servitude. You should have track record of integrity. You must not have been tied to court for corrupt practices.
A leader that has the fear of God will do the right thing. We, make sure that if he says, vote for me, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, by his righteous standing, he will be able to stand and do the right thing. That person that has the interests of the society.
Whoever is interested in becoming a leader must have the fear of God first of all. You must understand that it is God that anoints anyone. It is God that appoints. When God puts you in the position of authority, you should fear him, be selfless.
That man who is nationalistic, who has the good intention of the nation at heart.
How do we curb impunity?
When somebody misbehaves, when somebody is caught in exam malpractice, for example, you sanction the person, whether the person is related to those in authority or not. So when that is seen to be done, others, it will become a deterrence to other people.
The religious authorities have to be, be really truthful on the issue. It's not a question of massaging it and thinking it doesn't exist. It exists. People go to church, they go to mosque, they have leaders who at the end of the day come through the back door to ask them for money and all that. Do this for the church, do this for the mosque, do this for where would they get the money? You do not ask what they do.
Those with the power of ensuring effective leadership recruitment, they say, are the people. The electorate should always be vigilant to interrogate the process leading to the emergence of candidates so that an egalitarian society could thereby be created.
Well, still, we keep talking about it. Yes, integrity, having a good track record is very important in guiding who will eventually, vote into power. But even if what you feel for these candidates at the end of the day is not reflected in what you see by the time they are carrying out their, responsibilities while in office, you have just 4 years. Of course, yesterday we talked about recall and all of that, but you can actually wait for them till, when in their completing their tenure, maybe they want to vie for another position. Of course, your PVC then can speak for you.
But I don't think that the state where some of us find ourselves, we may have the patience to wait for 4 years. And I don't think it's necessary to wait for 4 years. If you have another option to tell somebody, please come home, perhaps your neighbor or your sister or I can do better than you can. But I think another way that maybe some elected people can prevent such things is to constantly be in touch with their people. What do they need? How am I faring? If you have integrity, you will keep abreast with the happenings from where you have come, because then you can know what ails them and what can make them feel better. When you don't do that, I think you deserve to be recalled.
Yeah, definitely. And then what is amazing sometimes is the fact that, yes, in Nigeria we claim to be religious people. We claim to be religious one way or the other, but during the swearing in, you're actually using your scripture, either Bible or the Quran, to swear that you're going to do good. You obey the rules and regulations laid down in the society, but at the end of the day, you do otherwise. I just don't know what some people are thinking when given the responsibility of power. But right now, let's talk more about leadership, this time around from Port Harcourt.
The growth and development of any society depends largely on its leadership and the regard
it has for positive societal standards. An ideal society relies greatly on set and agreed principles, morals that guide the action of society members. Like most countries of the world, Nigeria has over the years experienced some political, economic and social setbacks as it journeys towards nationhood. Some people have argued that these setbacks have a corresponding relationship with the quality and kind of leaders that have presided over the affairs of the country within this period.
Leadership is a vehicle. Leadership should be termed as a culture. A culture is the way of life of the people. And if you're talking about leadership should be a pivotal to what? To national development.
A leader is a servant. You know, when we see ourselves as servants, when we see ourselves as people who are come to serve others, things will change, our mentality will change. But when we see ourselves as just rulers, I'm elected to enrich myself, enrich my family, the problem continues.
Even though the citizens are to be blamed also, but mostly the leaders. And so a leader, to bring about that development, there must be peace.
For me, I have strayed Nigeria leaders from 1960. Unfortunately, till today, I have not seen any one of them that is qualified.
For Nigeria to develop, tackle corruption, and fight bad leadership, some people have argued that our cultural norms and value system must be reckoned with. The people must have a major stake in the selection process, and such leaders should be chosen based on their past and present records.
The clarion call of wake up of morality, integrity must begin from the family.
Does he have the ability or the quality of serving people? What has been his testimony? What is his drive? What are the things that inspire him? What is his aim? Why do you want to be a leader, or why do you want to assume that place of leadership? What solution do you think you can proffer to a problem? Are you a solution-oriented person, or do you think you can change negative things to be better? So these are the things you can also consider when you want to elect or when you want to choose your leader.
Everybody cannot be in every place. There are people for particular places. A leader, a good leader, will be able to identify those who are good and competent for various sectors, and then gather them and move along with them.
Furthermore, adequate policies and sanctions should be used to curb the excesses of leaders and followers as a way to instill discipline.
Some of the laws should have a stronger, harsher penalties, you know.
We lack patience. If you go to the bank, you see people jumping queues. You go to any gathering, everybody wants to be number one. I don't blame only the leaders. If you give me a bribe and I refuse, I won't give you next time, you know? And if I know that what I'm doing is bad and you condemn it, if the society abhors certain things leaders are doing, they will not do it again. But we keep on clapping for them because of what we get.
A follower must not allow himself to be forced to do a particular thing, which is right, which he or she knows is right.
In totality, leadership should be service-oriented and not wrapped to enthrone this service. To return leadership recruitment process to the path of integrity in Nigeria, the selection process of leadership must be based on merit and competence.
That's another angle that perhaps we haven't talked a lot about in recent times, that the election process, when we're picking candidates or aspirants to, for a position, it should be transparent. He should pick somebody, create a level playing field. Yeah. Not tell us only 2 people have been nominated. No, let 50 come, then let people pick who they want. Yeah. At the end of the day, those who are not chosen will go and try better next time. When even the election process, that's the process for picking someone that will even vie for the position with regard to party, half the job is done.
I quite agree with you, and that's why even as we went out for some assignment covering the last elections, you hear people saying that yes, they know that they are not completely in sync with the political, electoral process in Nigeria, but it is a work in progress. And at the end of it, we want to see a situation whereby we don't even need to see the ballot boxes. We don't even need to, having a ballot box snatching scenarios here and there. And at the end of the day, you know that when you vote, your vote will actually count at the end of the day. And definitely, we'll get there.
Yes, we ought to get there, especially if the followership is as responsible as they are urging the leadership to be. We're moving to the city of excellence, or the state of excellence, talking about Lagos. The focus is still on leadership and its recruitment.
Nigeria, despite our enormous natural resources, is a nation that still strives to grapple with the realities of leadership and expectations by a generality of its citizens as regards its leaders. The culture of indiscipline and impunity from the leadership and followership in Nigeria has impeded our quest for development and national cohesion, and this gives cause for worries. For instance, it seems quite absurd to see the flagrant littering of the streets with refuse, jumping queues, snatching of ballot box, amidst many other social misdemeanors.
Jumping of refuse is a personal thing, is a way someone is being brought up. If you are being brought up in such a way that, okay, right from your home, you know that dumping of anything, no matter how small, no matter how clean you think that thing is, but you know in your house, when you drop this thing, someone will say, why are you dropping it? Can't you see where the dustbin is? So it becomes your culture, it becomes a part of you.
Mainly because there's no provision for waste bin on the road. But there are some places where you have waste bin and people will just dump it beside the waste bin. So it's more of attitude.
So sentiment is the major reason why people jump queue, because it is allowed. We see it as a normal thing. We call it as breaking of protocols. We do not really follow protocols in Nigeria. And so as a result of this, when I get to an organization and I have my friend there, definitely I won't be expecting myself to stay for long.
It is preposterous to observe that majority of Nigerians find it difficult to obey and observe simple laws and regulations of the society. More so because of the reasoning that they are not in the position of authority. A leader naturally should show a good example to his followers, which they identify him with. Good leaders are those who can generate a vision for the nation, inspire followers to meet the challenges on ground, and prefer solutions. This naturally prefers the basic for national growth and development. In Nigeria, however, the reverse seems to be the case. The followers themselves seem to prefer being churned with handouts on how to live their lives.
We have seen that corruption, combating it is pretty difficult because it's fighting back. And that is why we have seen all this gamut of, heating up the polity that is happening. But I can safely say, you will see that funds are not being thrown around at this period. That shows that the tempo of corruption is coming down. Everybody is being very, very cautious because you don't want to be caught by the long arm of the law, when you begin to throw money around. EFCC and other agencies of government are watching the funding of political parties and how they do their campaigns.
However, as in other civilized parts of the world, the true essence of leadership starts from the home. It is not just enough for the citizens to wait on governments to fix every basic issues regarding their living. The citizens, in turn, should send and contribute to the nation's growth and development. So, what should we naturally be looking out for in a leader?
Leadership should be about voting your own values, and choosing a leader should also be about voting somebody that emphasizes your creed, your values, somebody that represents your personality and ideals.
Choosing a leader emanates with the quality of the followership we are. If you have a good followership, we will look for a good leader. For me, leadership translates into everything.
Once you are choosing a leader, you must watch out for the kind of quality your leader, the leadership you wanted. Maybe integrity, an economic-based leader, or the one that can galvanize people, the one that can see ahead in terms of vision. So when we buy into the vision of our leader, then I think some of us, we want to choose a leader based on that line.
A family system, the leadership structure in Nigeria is the father, the head, and he goes down and is being treated as the king of the tribe of his house. So I believe in the system that serves. A leader should serve. What is the father doing? Is the father serving? So if the father is serving his family and treats everyone equally, then it's easy for anyone who gets a leadership position to actually be able to know that equality is the key to everything.
All in all, changing people's minds and hearts toward achieving a vision insight make behaviors congruent with beliefs, principles, and values. Though in Nigeria, the path that our leadership recruitment process has traveled hasn't yielded good results. Nevertheless, it is pertinent for all, both the leaders and the led, to join hands together and make Nigeria a better country by strictly obeying the laws of our nation.
Well, something very important from that report. It's not enough to have good leaders. You must have good followership. And even if you have good followership, you must have the right people in place, to, give out the best the society needs to move forward.
If one person is thinking right and the rest of us are not, we are still defeating the essence of followership. So it behoves all Nigerians to critically look at where we are now and where we want to go, which will benefit us all, so that a mindset, a mind reorganization must start. We ought not to be told to do what is right. We know what is right. Let us start to do it.
Trust me, Thelma, this is like a movement, and we will not stop until we get it right. Let's go on a break, and after that, we still have more for you on Weekend Deals. So, stay with us. Let's take this feature on Godfatherism.
When Mario Puzo wrote the book, Godfather, little did he know that the term would creep into the political foray in Nigeria. It is on the reflection of this that gave rise to the term Godfatherism. It is a system where one depends on the experience and resources of someone else to forge ahead in life.
In most cases, some candidates don't have money. They want to contest an election, or they want to go into a certain office, but they don't have the necessary financial resources to prosecute such a venture. So sometimes there are people who are out there ready to bring up the money or the support that they may need to get into office. That's for one. For two, some people resort to Godfatherism because they may not have enough political clout to gather enough votes, so to speak, or support from the electorate. So sometimes they resort to people who they think are seasoned politicians, people who have a lot of reputation, so to speak, within the political circle, to give them the support they need.
So for the beneficiaries, they can say it's positive for them, because it looks as if you are contesting vying for any office, without them, you may not get there. For them, they may look at it as being positive. But as a youth and who has experienced this trend over time, I tell you, it's not for the good of the society.
If it is being used for the sake of maybe experience learning, or for the sake of tutelage, or for the sake of development, is good, because some people are retired politicians. Some people who have been in politics for years, they have gathered enough experience, so their advice is will be very helpful to the new entrants.
The flaw in this system is that, over time, the godfather demands something in return for the support he has rendered to the godson.
Godfatherism has just a negative impact on politics, generally speaking, because it's like I have groomed you, and wherever you are, the height you attain, is not just for yourself, for the society which you ought to represent, but just for the selfish interest of who claim to have developed you in politics.
This godfather, so to speak, when they sponsor a political son into office or political daughter into office, what they hope to gain in return is patronage in terms of contracts, in terms of appointments, in terms of other governmental favors, where they will begin to reap, so to speak, from the fruits of their labor or from their investment. And that, in a way, deprives the people of quality service. It deprives the grassroots man of that quality hospital, of that quality road, of that quality infrastructural development, of that quality the dividends of democracy is denied the people, because he that is in office, first of all, wants to appease his godfather.
Godfathers, who are also regarded as kingmakers, can enthrone and in some cases dethrone their godson. It could be good in the sense that these godfathers feel they know what is best for the community or nation which they reside. On the other hand, it has its own challenges, as the will of the people can be hindered or sometimes subverted.
It negates the overall objective of development. All efforts being channeled at development effort is being used to compensate the godfathers, so to speak. In this essence, the masses whom the development indices are being targeted are not being met. In other words, these godfathers, so to speak, collect the overall dividends of democracy and amass it to themselves, at the detriment of the rural dwellers or the illiterate.
The issue of godfatherism in Nigeria will continue to be a lifelong debate, depending on the divide on which you stand. However, it will be modified over time and may eventually become extinct with the passage of time, especially on the political arena.
Interesting. It could become extinct. Perhaps it can be watered or flavored to become a role model, a mentor who will write his indelible prints in the sands of Nigeria's political terrain, especially when he or she allows the dividends to reach the people who have elected somebody to represent them. A godfather can become a mentor, can become a statesman, and in that way everybody enjoys the benefit of having him or her at the helm. A break beckons. You're watching Weekend Deal.
Just before the break,
Ooh.
let's just go to sport.
Okay.
Yeah, Godwin Enahina is standing by to give us details about exactly what is happening to Kelechi Iheanacho. This one star that had a lot of promise, but what is happening to him?
It's been a fantastic experience with you, our esteemed viewer. A fantastic week beckons, and 3 things can guide you and us as we spearhead our actions for this week. Let your spirit continue to yearn for better and greater things for Nigeria. Be responsible enough to continue to earn what you spend, and be determined to work in unison with fellow Nigerians to grow and develop our great country, Nigeria.
And also, tolerate others who share different opinions from the ones you have, because when you do that, I think it will only propel us to experiencing that unity and diversity that we crave to have in Nigeria, which is very central to our socio-economic development and as a nation. So that is much we can take on the show today. Next weekend promises to be a wonderful one as well. So bye for now. Have a blessed week.
God bless Nigeria. Bye.